holidays and traditions of the Kuna people. How do they celebrate?
Oh, the Kunas have very different traditions. The Kunas are a very religious people, like all the indigenous people and the mestizos. For example, the Kunas, perhaps one of the most important traditions is when the girls reach the age of puberty, and then their hair is cut, and that's one of the holiest and most important ceremonies. The cutting of the girl's hair, which means she reaches the age when she can marry, and that usually happens at the age of 15. At this moment in Panama, for example, Carnival, which is one of the most important celebrations in this country, the whole country is paralyzed for a week. Everybody's dancing out in the streets and drinking and having great fun. That has ended, and now it starts the celebrations, the religious celebrations leading to what's called in Spanish Semana Santa, Holy Week, when the whole country paralyzes. People go to church and they parade the saints and they repent from their sins.
Excellent. I understand that the cultural groups have their own names, like, I'm not sure, is it comarca?
Yes, the word we use here in Panama for the Indian territories are comarcas. And we have 7 different Indian groups in Panama. And they represent about 10% of the population of the country. And there are the Kunas. Then the largest group are called the nobe-bugle people. And then there are the Teribe, and then there are the Bribri, and then there are the Bogota. In the comarca, in their territories, they elect their representatives who then go to the Panamanian National Congress. So it's a parallel political structure. Most of these Indian territories have been established in the last 20 years. And part of my work as an anthropologist, as a rural sociologist, was precisely that, trying to establish, defining the territories of the Indian communities and drawing the boundaries of these comarcas or Indian territories.
As a tourist, if I was visiting Panama, would I be able to go to these comarcas and visit these different groups of Indians?
Oh yes, and if you come to Panama, you have to go to the Indian territories. For example, if you go visit the Teribe people in the Caribbean side, I wonder if we could put our map of Panama.
Sure.
And show the Teribe people live here in Bocas del Toro. This section here, and there is this beautiful river here called the Teribe. It's a spectacular river with beautiful forest, and they're such a friendly people. If you go to the Cricamola River here, which is it's inhabited by the Guaymi people. That is another fabulous, fantastic place to visit, as well as this peninsula you see here. On the other hand, the islands you see here, the archipelago Bocas del Toro, is inhabited by the people we call the Creole. They're black, English-speaking Protestant people. And they came to Panama as turtle fishermen and hunters and rubber gatherers, and they also gather root crop from which root beer is made. But back in those days, it was a medicinal root. And these islands of Bocas, you have to come. They're absolutely gorgeous. And the Kunas live in the archipelago there. This area here, see, my arm just quite doesn't reach to eastern Panama. And then if you go visit the Embera and the Waunan people, you would go into these rivers of eastern Panama, and thank you, and then you would go to the Chucunaque and the Tuira River. This is a region called the Darien, and it was precisely here on San Michael's Day, 1513, when Vasco Núñez de Balboa was the first European to see the Pacific Ocean. And by 1519, the city of Panama was established. It was the first European settlement on the Pacific coast of the New World. And from Panama City, the expeditions were sent by the Spanish to discover and to conquer all what we know today as the Pacific coast of South America.
I understand that at one time Panama was actually part of the country of Colombia, okay? And then became its own independent country.
Yes, Panama for 300 years was part of the Spanish Empire. We call that the colonial period. And during that time, Panama was called an audience, a royal audience. And we had the Viceroyalty of New Granada, or Colombia, to the south, and we have the Viceroyalty of Mexico to the north. Panama became independent from Spain in the 1820s, and it joined what was known as La Gran Colombia, made out of 5 countries: Venezuela, and Colombia, and Ecuador, and Panama, and Peru. Gradually, these countries became separate countries, and finally Panama, with the help of the US, became independent from Colombia in 1903. So Panama actually celebrates 2 Independence Days. The 28th of November, which is independence from Spain, and the 3rd of November, which is independence from Colombia. So kids are off school celebrating 2 Independence Days.
Is it like in our country with a lot of fireworks and a lot of barbecues and a lot of food?
Lots of marching, bands, and everybody happy not to be in school.